Hello everybody, Happy New Year, and welcome to another RCT2 hacking tutorial. Today we are building a Maurer Sky Loop, the XCar XT150 model. This is a popular model from Maurer. It was their first of the XCar models, and you can see the operation right here. So the lift hill takes you vertically up and over, and then the ride coasts through the rest of this, essentially a big loop, goes up through the lift hill, stalls out, comes on back down, up that rear spike, stalls out again, comes on back, and then catches on the lift hill and gets lowered back down into the station. And that's the ride. So it's pretty straightforward. So this ride is actually based off of a real coaster here. Like I said, it's the Maurer Skyloop XT150. So this is the very first one. This is Skywheel at Skyline Park in Germany. I did go ride this. It's a great little park, a bunch of kind of oddball rides, and then this thing sticks out well above the tree line. It's a pretty substantial piece of hardware, 150 feet tall, I believe. But like we saw on RCT, it pretty much looks the same here. One big lift hill, wraps through that inversion and then into the next, down and then up the spike, or the lift spike, backwards up the other way, up the lift again, catches, and then gets lowered back down into it. So there's 8 of these in total, and then a couple of modifications. There's one up in Spain that's got some extra bit of a layout. A lot of these are in China. Actually, most of them are in China. That's where I rode my first one. And there's a couple of Chinese knockoff varieties of these also. But pretty interesting ride. I first got turned on to this in RCT by Otsdarva, who has done lots of cool hacks, and I took it a step further by doing the full operations like we just looked at. And I've done it a couple times in some parks on New Element that I featured on this channel, but this one takes it just another step further with the brake and the lowering back down into the station. So how do we do this? It's actually pretty straightforward. It's just a shoestring up underneath, and we're going to use the shoestring underneath to actually do the control. So there is no lift hill on our red looping track up here. What's different about this one compared to some of what we've done before is that the station remains up top. We actually don't have a station down here, and this is not the front car down here. This is the back car. Now, one thing to note on this and some of the other hacking things like this that are going to be coming up on this channel is if you're doing this for kind of scenario play where you're just going to be playing for hours on end in a map, this will get out of sync over time. Now, thankfully, this one is a pretty long bit until it gets out of sync, but on occasion you will have to reset it. This is more designed for, contest parks and things that folks are going to come in and view for, up to an hour maybe, or even longer perhaps, but it's not going to be there for 5, 6, 7 hours before you have to reset this. So just keep that in mind, that it does get off over time. It is not foolproof, because in actuality, the track down here should equal exactly the track and ride path up here, and it doesn't. Just the piece sizes are different, and we can make it close. We can make it really close, but it's not entirely accurate and perfect all the way. Made it as close as we can, but just as a little forewarning. But let's go ahead and build this. It's actually pretty easy, like I said, so let's take a look. The first thing we're going to do is choose the twister track. I use this because it looks, okay compared to the overall for this ride. Now, when X7 releases his other tracks that he's been working on, like the Giga Coaster track that has all the inversions and some of the other like limb tracks and things like that, you may find some other things work here also. I've done a little bit of looking at some other varieties, but for me, just the standard look is good. We're also using Space K's XCar trains that he made. I'll post a download of that in the link below, or in the description below, so you can download those for this, but you can really use whatever you want. You just may have to adjust the shoestring a little bit, as this is customized specifically for that. So what we're going to do is build our loop first. We want 2 station tiles, and then our smooth to steep, and then straight to vertical, and then we're going to have 5 of these verticals right here, So we'll have, just check this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we'll do our quarter loop, a barrel roll. Then we will lower again and do another barrel roll. Make sure that this is a continuous roll, so if this one's rolling one way, we continue that roll on the next one. So as a point of interest, this is the way that the real thing rolls, is the barrel roll left, as we've looked at so far. So then we'll do another quarter loop. And then we can start down back here. We want one more flat section. And then we're going to do slope up, 1, 2, go to steep, add 1 steep, then go vertical and close that loop. All right, number 1 is done. So next up, we're going to take our split track. So this is the wild mouse track. And I'm going to go here one after the station because we'll merge that in here in a little bit. So let's just start right there. We're going to put a tight curve and then another tight curve. And then we come up here, we make a big enough space for our train to fit. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, and then a brake at 4 miles per hour. Or like I said, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, put a brake at 4 miles per hour. And then we're going to go a slope up and back. That should take care of it. Now we're going to delete this curve because we are wanting to back this out. So this is a reverse merge. As we always say before, you build the exit followed by the entry point. So this is the exit that we're building right now. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then we'll do a steep slope. Now we can come back in here and we can put this one closed. Okay, so we're temporarily going to delete our steep track here. We're going to build one back. So this lines right up with the station here. Then we'll right click on the station and we're going to build one forward piece. So that way it merges in. When you don't have the option to put another piece, you know that it's merged correctly. Now we do have disable clearance checks on, and then under cheats, I've got everything but the building at invalid heights checked. I would recommend you do that just kind of as standard practice. Okay, so now we're going to go through here and put that steep track back. But we can also drop in our station huts if we would like to at this time. Alright, so now on the back side, we need to make sure that we've left a big enough spot for the tracks. We want 1, 2, and 3. Then we want to do a curve. We're going to say 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll delete number 4 here. And we're going to build this curve. Now again, this is a reverse merge because we're going backwards and we're going to go forwards now. So we want a curve. We're going to go 1, 2 out. Do a U-turn here. 1 back. Another U-turn. And then we're going to build 1 and 2, and that will merge this into the twister track. Now we can close this loop again here. The reason that we're bulging it out just a little bit like that rather than going directly in is that we want the car that we're going to split off the back to be approximately right underneath of our station hut when the other train, or the visible train, cars 1 and 2, come park themselves right here. So let's remove this last piece because that's what we're going to get into right now. You can see here we got this nice big drop down to a flat bit here. So we're going to come off of this, another reverse merge. So we build the exit first, steep, steep, and flat. And we close this one up. Done. Now what I'm going to do is select another wild mouse, just because if we ever wanted to delete this split for some more rides, ride slots, or anything like that, we can do that. We don't have to, but it's there as an option for you. Okay. We'll place this one right there. Let's make sure we're at -20, which is correct. And then let's go a little jog right there. That gets us in line. You can see by the markings here on the ground that we are in line with our visible track above. And then let's not forget here to right click on our purple track here and go ahead and merge that into the red. So now we have that covered. All right. So next up, we have this whole little bit down here. Like I said, this is tailored to Space Cade's X-Car train. The lengths should be all about the same. If you have different weights of train, you might need to adjust some of the other bits and pieces. So we're going to start back here. We're going to start with some straight bits here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are going to be without a chain lift, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with a chain lift. So we said 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with. So that should line up right about there. So we started that lift hill just about right. Just making sure that everything lines up more or less where we want it to be. We can see that all that is lined up. What I want to do is just check real quick, because I think we're off by 1 down here. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're good there. But we have an extra one up here. So it looks like we might not have gone quite the full length here. Let's count this again. So from this split, we're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. So what we'll do here is let's adjust this. Let's get rid of all of this. Do one more. And we'll slope up. We'll go through here. And we'll delete this whole section. Now we'll take the one behind it. Put this back. Okay, so there we go, all connected. So this was 11 after the curve here, not including that curve. Then our slope up, then we have a 3 gap to the curve here. So you should have an extra like visible straight piece here under the sloped twister track. So let's go ahead and delete that last piece again. Let's build our vertical bit here. Let's go 1, and there we are. And then we'll come up top, place this one together. Okay. So now let's delete pretty much this whole thing. Oh, every time I change the ride, it makes that visible again, so which is somewhat annoying. So bear with me there. Okay. Backing this up. We have one straight piece right after we've leveled out. Then we're going to do our little turn jog. Then we're going to go ahead before we forget and go ahead and merge this in. Done. Now it was 5 and 8, so we're going to go 5 regular. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we have our lift hill turned on, and you can see that lift hill lines up very nicely. It should be the first tile after the station underneath. If it's not, then you don't have it lined up quite exactly right, so there is what you should be looking at as far as that consideration goes. So 8 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to turn the corner twice. Make sure that chain lift is still enabled for this. Okay, so now we're going to go back another 8 of these. So let's take a look at this one more. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So this represents the chain lift on the ride, and since this ride above is going to be traversing this in multiple directions, we can't have the chain lift up top. So that's why we're putting it down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now turn off that chain and go 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice these two line up, so it's a perfect 16, 8 up, 8 back, plus 17 and 18, which is the corners. Okay, let's turn around here. This is nestled nicely within this curve. Again, those kind of cues make sure that you have this lined up properly. Now we can see down here that this is all lined up just right. So let's go ahead and build right down here to in line with those curve pieces, and then one more beyond. We're going to do a curve here, and then we're going to come back and delete this curve, and then build backwards, and then builds forwards into it. So you can adjust that in Tile Inspector, but it's just easiest for me to just build it this way. So by doing that, now we have the ride which will enter this tile going this way, and then is merged at 90 degrees, and then we'll exit the tile going the other way. Still counts as one tile length. which is slightly different than the corner piece, this 1x1 corner, which is why you'll see sometimes corners and sometimes this. This is all part of getting it to line up. Okay, so we go around to the other side, which is right here. And you can see how these are all nested, so we're trying to keep this very compact so you don't have a lot of just track going every which way under your ground. Doesn't always work out that way, as you saw with the Starflyer, but we want to make it a little bit like this. Okay, so now we're going to just build on and just go all the way up here. You don't need to measure this. If you're concerned about track length, you might want to mark it when you do the testing and delete the excess, but we'll just build it up to this. This is where that first stall is going to be, so the ride is going to come up this way, stall out, and then it's going to back its way up. We don't want it to keep on going backwards, so now we're going to do a reverse merge here. So we're going to delete that corner piece, build in another U-turn, and then we're going to put back that corner piece. Exit first, entry second, as we always do. So the second one is going to be another stall point. So we're going to do this one more time. Go all the way up. Just like that. Okay, so now we got to pull off, and now we're starting to get towards our end point. So we look at this, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then our fourth one here is where we're going to pull off. So let's do that. Let's get back to this one, underground. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth one is the one that will go away. So again, reverse merge, so the exit gets first, and then you build the entrance to it second. So there we go. And we're going to loop that around. We're going to put one flat bit. I'm going to build this looking at this one. Slope up, slope flat. Get rid of those height markers so it's easier to see. Then we will build another U-turn. One straight, one curve, slope down, slope back. I'm going to leave that right there for just a minute, because this curve becomes another one of these intersections here. So we build the backwards first, then you build the entry to it. We can go back in here and fill this one too. Okay, so we're almost done, actually. What we need now is one more piece of track, because we don't want this to merge down below. So what we're going to do, take this guy, turn on our height markers this time so we can see. And so this is going to go perpendicular, making sure that we are in the same elevation as the red piece. We're going to go in this direction. And we're going to go, what looks to be 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to curve. Now let's go back to the red piece here. Merge that in. So it's in. Let's just check our elevations, -20, -20. So we're good to go there. And now this is the exit, or the backward section that's going to actually park the ride back at the start. Remember when we looked at the visible moving piece initially? We came through the station up, it caught on the chain lift, kind of fell a little bit, then slowly backed up. So this will be the kind of slowing portion, and then once we back up over the curve, this will be the almost stopping portion. What we're going to do is come up here and select the brakes on this side. I'm going to have 13 miles per hour. Just a couple of these again. You don't need to measure that. If you're low on objects, just mark it when you test, whichever ones you don't need. Make sure you do one extra for peeps, count for peeps. And then we're going to pull this one out. We're going to go over here, one more 13. Actually, let's confirm that's 13. It looks like I did 4 there. It doesn't really matter. Kind of when it slows down. So we are going to do 4. And then we're going to take this all the way back. It won't merge with these two because we have a brake turned on, not the straight piece. And then we're going to do our curve piece here. We haven't merged this just yet. So what do you want to do? Go back to your red, skip 1. So it'll be the one before the chain lift plus 1 more. Let's delete this temporarily. Now we'll go back to this piece and we're going to put a steep slope, then shallow it out, and then do 1 more. And then come back in here and build that closed. So what we just did is built our little bit that's going to reverse the train when it gets pulled down here on the brakes. It will go backwards through the station, and then it needs to go forwards to actually park in the station. So this is the bit that actually does that. The reason we added these 2 pieces on top is as the ride gets off sync over time, the bottom train here or car here will back its way up this. The ride will still work even though it's just backing its way up this, but we want to give it as much time as we can before the ride gets stuck and breaks. So just a consideration. Now let's go back to this blue one more time. Put this curve in, and that is it. Well, actually, no, it's not, because we need to go back to here and merge this. Click once, can't build anymore, which means it's merged. There you have it, an X car. So let's go back in here. We'll select our train. So the train is going to be the X car coaster. I'm going to take one train here. 3 cars per train. Okay. And now what we want to do is set this up. We want to go powered launch passing station. That's this one. I want my launch speed to only be 6 miles per hour because we want to see this as a regular dispatch. And I want the lift hill chain speed to also be 6 miles per hour. You can do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be 6, but I like 6. It feels about right. It is a little bit of a speedy lift, but it's not super, super fast either. For this first bit, we're going to leave the number of circuits at 1. Okay, so now the first thing that we'll do is test this out. And let's see here. So we are doing this properly. If your ride starts to go up the slope first, do the tile inspector on this first one, and then you want to look for these that are at 20, or all 3 that are the same. And you want to see there's 2 of them that are twister. Swap those in the order. We actually want to go ahead and do that now because we want to get ready for the next time. So anyway, we back this thing up. So now we're going to come over here and split off that back piece. Speed up here. You'll notice the little bump out for the top bit means that this one should park right there. So if you look at how this goes, and we can, if you have OpenGL, you can zoom in even further. But we are right here on the edge of this last piece, just kind of sort of almost sloping up here, but not actually getting there. So that's where we want it to park more or less. And like I said, over time it'll back up this hill, but this is pretty well close enough. So now, before we start it again, we went ahead and we changed this tile order, or track order, so now it's going to go up the slope. What we also want to do is go in here to our settings and change the number of circuits to 3, because it's going to go up and around, pass through, pass through, pass through, and then park. I'll pass through one more time as it arrives. So 3 is the magic number for this. Now, let's take a look. So test this out. You can see we're on the lift hill down here, so car number 3 is doing the hard work here with the lift hill, pulling us up on the guest side up top. The lift hill is a little longer than it needs to be just to avoid when we get a little out of sync. And now car number 3 below is just kind of on for the ride until we get to the braking section. And here the little up and down bits are really just spacing to get this to sit right. And then we're going to sit onto the brakes. And then we're slowly backing our way down. Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. And we're going to go through that station. Loop up just a minute. And then we'll park it right there, pretty much where we started. So that's the hack. That's really all that's there. So the red and the blue track down here, you can leave visible if you want. Doesn't really matter. You can make it invisible. It should be underground, so nobody's going to see it. This track right here, we can make either invisible, or later on we can delete it. If you do delete it, make sure you replace this piece right here, because it will delete this piece of twister track. And now one more thing, we'll go through here with the tile inspector, and you can see we have the straight piece that we used to merge into the splitting track initially. Let's go through and we will put a null object on that one, make that invisible. So there you go. Now what I did for mine was I also made these station tracks invisible plus this last straight piece here, and then I went back and put brake pieces in facing the opposite direction. You can kind of see here how it's looking. And then you can kind of go wild here with your supports and everything else. I tried to do some pretty realistic supports with the lift hill motor and everything like that, lightning rod and all sorts of fun stuff there. It's a fun ride, and it definitely is a good highlight to your park. And it's certainly a highlight to our park here, which continues and continues to grow. This is coaster number 4, or 5 if you count Gemini over there as 2. So we're doing pretty good, but there's more to come. I actually have quite a few things built here in the future, and I'm looking forward to bringing those to you here in the new year. We also have lots of other streaming type surprises and more videos and all sorts of reviews and other things coming next year. Thank you all so much for the support in 2020 and building this channel into what it has been. It's been a lot of fun to do this and to hear some of the comments that you guys have had. Always open for feedback, looking for your thoughts and things you would like to see. So keep them coming and feel free to reach out for any questions or comments or things like that. Always good to see. But until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great new year and you have a great 2021. Thank you guys very much. Have a good day.